Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today's video is a tutorial on this very warm kind of summer sunset look. This is a really appropriate look to wear if you're going out on like a date night. I just really like the colors and it just reminded me of a sunset kind of. So yeah, this is the look. I'm starting off by just clipping my hair out of the way because it's always in the way whenever I do my makeup. And I'm gonna go ahead and prime my face using the Makeup Forever Skin Equalizer primer. This is the smoothing primer, and I'm focusing this mainly in my T-zone where I have problems with my makeup breaking up because I get oily there, and where I just feel that I need a little bit of smoothing. And then I'm priming my eyes with my Urban Decay Primer Potion like usual. This is pretty much all that I ever use. Sorry guys. So I'm going into my Too Faced Chocolate Bar palette, and I'm taking the shade White Chocolate, and I'm just setting my eye primer with that. It's just a basic plain white shade. Now I'm taking the shade Salted Caramel, and I'm using my Morphe E27 to buff that in my crease. It's just a nice warm transition shade. And now I'm taking the shade Semi Sweet on an E22. Yeah, E22. And I'm just putting that in the crease as well, blending that everywhere to make sure that everything is seamless. Next, I'm taking the shade Cherry Cordial, I think is how you say it, on the same E22 brush, and I'm basically just doing the same thing with this. I'm putting it on the outer corners of my eye, and I'm also kind of blending it onto my lid a little bit. And this is a really nice, like, warm sort of burgundy shade. It's one of my favorite shades in the palette. Everything about this palette is really nice. And now I'm taking the shade Porter, which is the Colourpop collaboration with Kathleen Lights, and I'm taking an E17, which is kind of just like a smaller version of the E22, and I'm really packing this onto the outer corner of my eye, and then I'm going to go in and blend it out. This step can take a little bit of time because of the consistency of the eyeshadow. You just have to use the right brush and take your time and go back in and blend as much as you can. The key to this look is blending, really, because you want it to be sort of smoky and you don't want any patchiness. So just make sure you're going back and forth and blending everything out the best that you can. If you're a beginner with makeup and you're having problems blending out your eyeshadow, I really recommend that you buy really good brushes, because the key to it all is really nice eyeshadow brushes. Now I'm going back to the shade Semi Sweet, and I'm just going over top of everything with my E27, and I'm just making sure that everything is really smooth and blended out. I don't want any harsh lines in my eyeshadow. Next, I'm going to take another Colourpop shadow, which is the shade Lala. It's a really beautiful, warm, sort of rose gold shade. It picked up a little bit more orange on camera than it was in person, but either way, it's still really beautiful. And these shades together is what reminded me of a sunset. I'm using a brush for this, but you don't have to use your brush. You can totally use your finger. I typically use my finger for my Colourpop shadows, but I already had makeup all over the place, and I just ended up using a brush to keep it somewhat clean, I guess. But then I'm just going back with the same E22 that I was using earlier, and once again blending out all of my edges to make sure everything is really clean. Now I'm going in with another Colourpop eyeshadow. This is the shade Stereo. I believe that this is from their fall collection from this past year. I I'm pretty sure it was limited edition if it was part of the fall collection. But I'm taking the same E22 brush and I'm adding that on the outer corners of my eye and blending it into my crease. I added this shade because it has a lot of purple reflex in it, and that's what I wanted. I wanted more purple in this look, so I went ahead and added that on top and just blended it in with everything else like I did before. Now I'm taking the new L'Oreal Pro Glow foundation, and to be honest, this foundation is not what it claims to be. This is definitely not a Pro Glow foundation. To me, this is honestly just like any other typical foundation. It is really nice though. I do really enjoy it. It's going to be one of my new go-to foundations because I just really like the way that it wears. It doesn't break down easily. I don't get greasy wearing it. It blends out nicely. I think the shade is pretty nice. It's the shade 202, I believe. But yeah, this is not glowy at all. It's not at all what I was expecting, but it is a really nice foundation, and I will be repurchasing whenever I run out because it's not tacky, it's not heavy, it feels really nice on the skin, and even though the finish isn't super glowy, it still has a really nice finish, and it's not tacky, so I really have been enjoying this so far. Next, I'm going in with my Urban Decay concealer. This is the lightest shade that they have, and I'm highlighting my under eyes with this, the bridge of my nose and my forehead like usual, any places where the light would naturally hit. And I'm going to go ahead and blend this out with my damp beauty blender as usual. I never ever use brushes for my concealer. It kind of makes me cringe when people use brushes for their concealer. I don't know why, I just feel like it's just sitting there. I can't do it. I have to use a damp beauty blender, and it just looks so much nicer when you use a damp beauty blender. It helps with creasing. It just looks so much nicer in my opinion. But if you like using a brush for your concealer, you do you, boo. I ain't gonna stop you from doing what you like. Go ahead and do what you please with your makeup. There are no rules when it comes to makeup. And now I'm tapping out the creases that I got, and I'm setting it with the NYC Loose Translucent Powder. And I'm just using a different beauty blender for this. This beauty blender is also dampened. This is an older beauty blender, so I'm just using this for loose powder from now on so that I save my other beauty blender from getting disgustingly dirty. And I'm going to bake a little bit. I'm doing the center of my face, like I said, where I get oily because I am combo. And I put a lot of powder on my chin and my upper lip because that's where I tend to break up the fastest when it comes to my foundation. Now I'm taking the new Too Faced sweettea bronzer, and I am just lightly bronzing my face. This is an E33 brush from Morphe, of course. Sorry, these are all like not being sold anymore on the Morphe website. They're getting rid of all of their elite brushes, which really sucks because they're really nice, but supposedly they're coming out with better brushes, so hopefully that's true. I mean, I think that the elite brushes were pretty nice already, but apparently they're coming out with new ones. So yeah, I'm just bronzing my face with this very lightly, nothing too crazy. And then same thing with a very, very light hand. I'm taking my Morphe contour kit, and I'm taking this little round Morphe brush. It doesn't have a number. I think it was from the vegan set that I have. But I'm just very, very lightly contouring. I didn't want to go too crazy because I was going to work after this, and I didn't want to look like I was going out to the club. So I just did a really, really light contour. It looks a little bit harsher on camera than it did in person. It looked a little bit nicer in person than it looks right now on the camera. But I'm just taking that same loose powder, and I am baking underneath of my contour just to make it a little bit cleaner, a little bit nicer looking. I really like to bake my contour, so yeah. And now I'm just going in and dusting off all that excess powder. I'm dusting it off really, really well because I don't want any of that excess powder sitting on my skin. This powder can look slightly, I don't know, I don't want to say chalky because that just sounds terrible, but you can kind of see it if you don't wipe it away properly. So that's why I'm going over it with my beauty blender right here, as you can see, because I don't want it to look dry underneath of my eyes. And now I'm taking Colourpop's Stole the Show highlighter. This is one of my favorite highlighters. I use it almost every day. I am going to put another highlighter on top, but I really, really like to use the Colourpop highlighters underneath of other highlighters to really intensify the glow. Now I'm taking the blush from Urban Decay in the shade Score. This is a really gorgeous color. It's a beautiful pink with a slight peach undertone, and it has a really, really nice sheen to it, so it goes with the bronzer. By the way, the bronzer isn't super glittery or chunky. I know that people were saying that they were afraid it was going to be too glowy, but it's not. It has a really beautiful sheen to it. I really, really like it. And then using the same brush I used to wipe away my powder from my under eyes, I'm using it to wipe away the bake underneath of my contour. And I'm also using it to apply this highlighter, which is the new Loreal Peach Glow highlighter. This highlighter is gorgeous. I love it. I will use it without the Colourpop highlighter underneath. I just wanted a really intense glow today, so I put that underneath, but this is gorgeous all by itself. You definitely don't need anything underneath of it to make it look absolutely stunning. It's definitely one of my new favorite highlighters. And now I'm just soaking my face in my Urban Decay setting spray. This is the De-Slicked Oil Control Setting Spray, also one of my favorites, and I definitely can't live without that. Going back to the chocolate bar palette, I'm taking the shade Salted Caramel and very lightly putting that underneath of my eyes. And then I'm also taking the shade Cherry Cordial and I'm just pressing that right against my lash line, and I'm using a E11 brush. I'm pretty sure it's supposed to be an eyebrow brush, but I don't care. I used it for my under eyes. And then, like every single day of my life, I'm taking my Lorac Pro Metal palette and I'm taking the shade Quartz and highlighting my under eyes. And now I'm trying to figure out what lip color I wanted. I knew I wanted a nude, but I wasn't sure what I wanted to use. So I ended up using the Aquarius lip liner, also made by Kathleen Lights, and I filled in my whole lips with that. And then I also went ahead and I put on the Lorac gloss in the shade Mademoiselle. I'm pretty sure that this was a limited edition color. I'm not 100% sure, but I think it was limited edition. Sorry. But yeah, that's the completed look. I really hope you guys enjoyed this. Please like and subscribe if you did. Comment down below. Give me your thoughts and opinions. And yeah, thank you again for watching, and I will see you all in my next video. Bye guys.